Hey guys, and welcome to Point of View, episode number 3. We're here with James, MrDogbert, given from Team Dignitas. Welcome, James. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me on.
You know, James, I want to talk about your history first. I ask this question of everyone that comes on. How did you get your start playing computer games?
Oh, wow. Computer games. Oh, God. Wolfenstein 3D, back in the day, first ever
an
one.
Old game.
Yeah, my dad got it for me ages ago, and then I would do the shooting and he would do the moving. God, I don't know how young I was, but it was a long time ago. But from then on, it was N64, then Red Alert on the PC. I used to play strategy games more than I played first-person shooters, but I moved on to a game called Delta Force 2, which is probably the closest I was going to get to a game like Battlefield until Battlefield actually came out. And it was kind of like a game made out of a flight simulator engine, so the maps are huge, absolutely huge. So there was never the idea of in Counter-Strike, someone could just wait here and you'd have to go through them at some point. My brain worked differently because I played a game like that, so I could just go around people all the time. It'd be really sneaky. But that's pretty much just gaming. It's been there from the start, really. I'm one of those generations that's had nothing but gaming from the beginning, really.
And do you remember your first time actually playing Battlefield? I mean, what version was it? Was it the very first one?
Oh, God. Yeah, the very first one. I mean, I knew there's one before that, Project, oh, God, something. But first Battlefield game would have been Tobruk, 1942. The demo came out.
Okay.
I was demo or beta? Demo, because they didn't do betas back then. So the demo, we downloaded that, and you could only play with bots, I believe. Yeah. So me and my friend had been talking about it for ages, me and my mate Chris, and we'd be like, oh, right, this game looks cool. There's tanks in it, there's planes and everything. And I just remembered Tobruk, the desert map, and looking at the Tiger tank. It's the first time, driving around in tanks. It looked brilliant and everything. Oh, man, flashback. But that was great. And then, obviously, the online beta came out, demo, sorry, and that was Wake Island. And, yeah, I was hooked from then on out, really.
Okay, and you were probably playing a lot of Battlefield. Do you remember how you first learned about the competitive scene in Battlefield, that one exists, competitive gameplay?
I mean, when I played 1942, I had no idea that there was a competitive scene in the game. Was completely oblivious to it. What I had stumbled across while this was going on was something called IG UK. Now, in the UK, this was something quite big and popular. It was advertised in the PC Gamers, and what it was a collection of internet cafes had formed a league, and they were run by an ex-pro called Sujoy Roy, who was the UK's most successful pro gamer at the time. Probably still one of them. He's probably won the most out of probably any of the UK players.
Yeah, he's really well known in the community in general.
Yeah, played Quake and so on, and Odie knew him quite well, and I've met him since, and if it wasn't for him and what he did, I probably never would have got started in esports at all. But I found this magazine, and at the back of it said a Black Hawk Down League, and then it had a Battlefield 1942 League. And I was just like, oh, God, I need to get down to this LAN cafe, which is in my hometown. Never seen it before. Went and tried to find it, couldn't find it. It was on 2 stories up, and I'd been looking around for ages, and I just looked up, and there was this big sign that said Cyber Game Zone. I was like, oh, okay, there it is. That's where it is. So I went in and just started playing, really.
Yeah, and did you go there alone? Did you go there with a team? What was the format like?
I went there with just, it's a social thing, but I went there with my friend Chris, who, me and him had been playing PC games forever. I mean, we became friends. Do you know when, school, we were, 7, 8? Do you know when, teachers get upset when 2 kids fight? Over something completely ridiculous, and you have a fight, and then they'll be like, right, you two, be friends, stop doing this, you must have something in common. And they were just then we started talking about Command and Conquer, and then from then on we were best friends. And we had a race every 2 years. We'd try and outdo each other on the computer side of stuff. So we'd always, one of us would upgrade every 2 years, and the other one would be like, oh, well, better, had time for me to upgrade, I guess. But yeah, we went to this LAN cafe and we started playing there. Then we noticed there was competitions for this Battlefield 1942 thing. So Me and him played it all the time. I was pretty good at 42, like pretty good. Now, I never played competitively, but I played in these like little UK leagues. And I did pretty well. I commanded our team. We won every game. We didn't lose a single one. It was pretty easy. It was so much fun. But you got a big head. You're just like, I'm the best in the UK at this game. I'm brilliant. Anyway, on IRC, this guy comes into this channel at one point. And this is before I knew who he was, let alone but he would end up being my boss in the future. And he starts talking about this league. He's just like, how do I get involved in this Battlefield league? Is there any money and all that? And I'm just like, you can try and join, but, you know, you'll just have to beat you like the others.
Yeah.
Like being a cocky kid, I was like 14, 15. And it was Odie who, like, owns Dignitas.
Yeah.
But back then, he'd just started playing 42 and just started, literally, forming what would become Team Dignitas. So it was a bit weird.
So, you know, can you walk me through your very first competitive team and the early successes of this team?
Like competitive as in like proper esports, or just in the,
you know
like,
what? No. What I mean by that is you knew that you're competing in a... You're there to win it. You're obviously... You don't have to be the best at it, but you're there to win it. You want to compete. The competitive nature.
Well, in 42, like it was really just fun, and Battlefield Vietnam is where it really kicked off for me. I'd played a bit of Call of Duty before then for the local LAN teams, but nothing significant. But then Battlefield Vietnam came out, and this is where I started to meet a lot of the people in the communities, and some people who are huge in esports right now, like outside of Battlefield, but through Battlefield became like outside of it became like huge stars.
Right.
And I played Battlefield Vietnam. It's my favorite Battlefield. It's just brilliant.
To this day?
The music, esports wise, it wasn't big, but like it was great fun. It was the only Battlefield I've ever played where the hit reg was actually decent, and everything hits perfectly. It was just a fun game. It had its bugs. All Battlefield have its bugs, but it just felt really good to play. I really enjoyed it. But there was this LAN tournament came up. They're like, right, all the best teams in IG UK, in all of the UK, there'll be a competition, and the grand final will be in the EA HQ down in London. All expenses paid trip. You just got to qualify for it and all that. So we played this tournament, and I picked the team. It was a 5v5. I picked my team, and it was brilliant. Like all my friends at this place, and we went there, and it was great fun. We won every game. We lost one game, and I went nuts. Like I was so angry. I messed up. I was in control of tactics. I made a mistake. But I'm like 16. I'm just like, oh my god, everyone else is so bad. I can't be everywhere at once. I was just like such a little kid. And I was wrong. I know that. I knew it like immediately. But you know, you say it to just recover slightly from the shock of losing. Right. Anyway, we did that. We went to the EA studios on a Sunday. Just catered the place out, loads of food. Then we just played, I think it was against 6 other teams, and we went down with all my mates and so on. And we just battered everyone. We made them look bad. But there was a scary moment where we almost lost it completely because a friend of mine didn't want to get into the chopper when he needed to. He wanted to go around and kill someone else. He needed to get in the chopper. We needed to get high up. But we won. It was all good.
So, can you talk me through then, you know, joining your first organization? I mean, how was that?
There was 2 teams in Vietnam, but I kind of played with. One was called the Multiplay BF guys, who were the UK people. I focused on them a lot, and I especially did in BF2 where I eventually joined that. But originally I joined a team called Exit 11, who would go on to be a rival of mine. But I used to play a bit with people like Joe Miller and Demon, who used to play Battlefield Vietnam as well, and the other previous Battlefields, because they were kind of very close together, and they play a lot of Battlefield in the beginning. That's where Demon, the League of Legends caster now, first started, like doing proper shoutcasting, not video or anything, just pure radio. And he taught Joe Miller to do the same, and they were really, really popular in Battlefield. But they were being watched by like 10 to 35 people at most, you know, listening. That was like back in the day where shoutcasting meant shoutcasting. But anyway, they were my first 2 teams, but it didn't really kick off until Battlefield 2, really.
So, since we're on Battlefield 2 already, this is really where things started kicking off. I mean, you're a legend when it comes to Battlefield. Everyone knows who you are. So, could you talk about Battlefield 2 then? Where did you really explode for the first time?
BF2 is a weird one, because this is the first time I was just like, right, Vietnam was really good. I enjoyed it. And more importantly, I enjoyed competing. This is when I started to get really serious about it. It's just like, okay, Battlefield 2 is coming out. I started talking to a guy called Jerky, who used to be the clan leader for a team called MPUK, which is like multiplayer's Battlefield team. They'd had a long history in 42 and all the way through Vietnam, and I played with them a bit, got used to playing with them. And then BF2 came out. And then they told me something about this thing called I-Series, or Insomnia, which is a big, big thing in the UK. I mean, a lot of people say bad things about the UK esports scene, but without multiplayer, God knows where it would be at all.
Yeah, I mean,
we get 3 events a year.
I want to comment on this, actually, just for the viewers that don't know. I mean, I-Series Insomnia is huge. I mean, consistent, big events, great event. So I just want to butt in there just to comment on that, because I think Insomnia and multiplayer deserves a lot of credit where it's due.
Yeah, they get a lot of criticism, but at the end of the day, they're a company that consistently brings events to the UK, and sometimes they could be better, and I'll be the first person to say it. But at the end of the day, 3 events a year, consistently on the dot. And without it, I wouldn't be where I am now. So I am forever grateful for that. And that's where I first went. And I went there as a 17-year-old kid with my first ever shuttle. Got myself a shuttle PC because I wanted to, I knew I was going to LAN. I built this PC just to go to this I-Series, I-24, 2005, on the day of Battlefield 2 release. That was going to be my first competitive tournament at a proper LAN. That was going to be my first kind of time meeting a team which I'd talked to online. And I get there, and I'm a shy guy. I'm not now. Well, I was then. I still am a little, and after a drink or two. But I didn't even drink then. Like, totally teetotal, underage anyway. Didn't know where to sleep. Slept under my computer, which was illegal at the time. But anyway, I did that. And just played BF2 all day. Like, literally, from start to finish of that event, I did nothing but play Battlefield 2. Because I had this competitive thing in me, as I'm playing with these team of players who have played in previous Battlefields and all that. They know each other, and I'm this kid coming in, and they're just going to, like, I think I'm better than them. So I'm going to have to show it. So I'm going to put in the effort, and I practice and practice. But back then, if you wanted to unlock one weapon, you were looking at putting in something like 24 to 36 hours to unlock one weapon. Yeah. In Battlefield now, you put in that much time, you unlock pretty much 35 to 40% of the game. Yeah. So yeah, that was just to get one weapon. But we won that tournament, won about £1,000, £500, and free tickets to next events. And it was amazing for me. I loved it.
So can you talk about Battlefield 3 already? I mean, you already made a name for yourself in the Battlefield scene by this time. I want to also combine this question with what you think about moving from one version of the game to another. Do you think it should be combined differently? Do you like moving from an old game to a new game? What do you think of this?
Well, the thing is, I'd already done it. I'd moved from Vietnam to BF2. Yeah. BF2 was different from all the other BFs because it was the most competitive. I would even argue right now that with Battlefield 4, it's only maybe just on the level that BF2 was when it was out. There was so much going on in BF2. Or at least I think it did, because of how long ago it was. All the pages, all the websites, everything that had anything to do with Battlefield has gone. Yeah. There's no way to recover any of this stuff. It's gone. So in a lot of cases, the only way you're ever going to find out about it is through people who were there and remember it. Yeah. And that's a handful of people. From people who actually still play Battlefield 4 today, who played BF2, I think at a high level at least, and I'm going to get some angry emails, I'm sure, there are a handful of them. And maybe the only one I can really, off the top of my head, But I remember seeing and playing against was Too Easy, who plays for Fnatic now, one of the most important players. But in BF2, it was a very different world, and it was very 8v8 and then 5v5, and we managed to. We were the best team in BF2. Like there was no one close. Like there was a team called Code 7, and everyone thought they were better. They were a flasher in the pan team, but came around when everyone else was having roster changes and so on. I mean, we'd batter them quite regularly after that World Tournament, and it was annoying that we lost out on the one big tournament. But we were that close every time. It really annoying. Anyway, but we moved on from that, not to BF3, but there were 2 other BFs in between that. So we went to 2142, which was, hit and miss, probably my least favorite Battlefield game. And we won we won quite a lot now. We didn't win everything, but we won quite a bit.
And what team was this under? What did you win as?
That was Dignitas.
Dignitas already.
Here's the thing. In BF2, this is how Dignitas came about for me. I played for the multiplayer guys, the MPUK guys under Jerky and a few others, and we went to CPL came to the UK for the first time. Yeah. Well, not the first time, but a big time, and it was at Sheffield CPL. It was a Painkiller World Tour for that $1 million. Big money. And we wanted to go to this event, and then we found out on the grapevine that a team called Dignitas was going. And we knew about Dignitas. We'd scrimmed these guys online. They're the biggest name in Battlefield. These are the guys that dominated 42. These are like the boogeymen, and they're going to come to our home territory and show us how to play. So it was kind of like, oh, God, we're going to get stomped. Right. But me and this other UK guy, Noobster, we were just like, well, here's our chance to like show that we can hang with these people. They turned up, they battered us, but, I got to know a lot of the guys. Got a guy called Newman, who is one of the co-founders, and a guy who no one will really see that much, except from maybe some passive-aggressive tweets. But he was one of the most important people behind the Dignitas organization that no one really knows about. And he's so smart, like really, really nice guy, just keyed on. And him and Odie and obviously a few of the other BF guys, they really made Dignitas what it is. But Odie, Newman, Kino, Lowlife, all these other people who'd been in Dignitas for ages, they were there, they were playing, and they battered us silly. But through that, I got to know them, and then they put up a thing. They were looking for new players, so I applied, and the rest of it's history, I guess. Odie liked me, and I was the best UK player at the time. Like, no doubt, there was no one close, so it was quite an easy fit for me.
Right. Okay, so I want to move on to your best memories probably in Battlefield. What would you say they were? I mean, it can be anything from, your biggest event win. I mean, joining Dignitas is probably a great memory for you. What would you say is your best memory in Battlefield?
Oh, in Battlefield, I would say we'd lost the World Tournament against a team called Exit 11. I'd previously played for them, but me and this guy, Greedicus, and another guy, we didn't get on. We hated each other. I'm like an 18-year-old kid. I think I'm better than everyone else. It was going to happen. I talk too much and think too little at the time. And me and him, back and forth, argument all the time, we're better than them, they're better than us, goes on. They beat us in this World Tournament, but what happened is in Battlefield 2, you could full cap people, so you could like completely stop them from spawning. Something that really should be brought back into Battlefield if they ever really want competitive gameplay. Right. But anyway, they beat us, but we almost completely wiped them out. But me and this other UK guy both got disconnected at the critical moment, and they managed to scrape it back, and they beat us by only a few tickets. Anyway, there's an infantry tournament, 5v5. It's in Denmark. We go to Denmark, we play them, we lose to them, but we get qualified to the final. In Boomtown in Copenhagen. Mm-hmm. Okay, brilliant. So we go to this event. We're practicing. We go to this event. We have a really bad practice, like horrible. Me and this other guy in our team, we start fighting over something, and we're just like, right, okay, let's just stop practice. Let's go watch a film. So we went to some Danish cinema, watched Mission Impossible, ate some popcorn, went to bed, woke up next morning, came in, and absolutely obliterated every team. Beat Exit 11, beat every substantial Battlefield infantry team at the time. and we made it look easy. This was broadcast on like Danish TV and so on, and
that's got to be a great feeling.
It was amazing. More importantly, beating the people who we'd had so much trouble with before and had so much back and forth. For me, that was the best thing ever. But the moment I remember more than anything was after our game and after we'd beat Exit 11. I think actually if you won the final, Odie gave me a phone call and was just like, "Good job, guys," and that meant so much to me because that's like my friend and boss calling me and like saying he's really happy. But
it seems like it's some sort of appreciation also for your work, right? For your hard work put in. Getting that type of call can be heartwarming. I mean,
oh, definitely. And Tequila, Monster, and Noobster, and I think it was Sondak. I mean, I can't remember who our fifth player was. Oh God, it's going to be embarrassing. But yeah, it was just amazing feeling, and they all put the hard work in. And yeah, I'll never forget that one. More than anything, I've been to bigger events, and I've won more money, but that one just meant the most for me.
Yeah. So, can you talk about? I want to talk about Battlefield 4 now. There's a lot of criticism about the way the competition format. So, what do you think of Domination? Do you think it's a good format to play in esports? Yeah, I mean, let's start there. Domination.
All right. Before Battlefield 4 came out, there was a lot of discussion. I'd never met the Level BF guys before. And I got in a conversation with them because they were having these like weekly talks about like how they should help the competitive scene when it comes out. And Daskro and a few others, and they're very important. They helped me a lot in BF4 because otherwise I would have kind of been lost at the beginning. So they kind of pointed me in the right direction. We talked about the game modes that should be done. I've always been an advocate of 5v5 in competitive play. Mm-hmm. Because it's the only way it's going to work at LAN events. You can't do LAN events at 8v8, 10v10, and the criticism is that Battlefield is obviously a vehicle game, but the problem is it doesn't work. You can't send 10 people or 8 people to a LAN event. Yeah. There's no organization that has the money, and the only way it could be done from DICE's or EA's or any tournament provider is to do like a World of Tanks kind of thing. But the amount of money needed for that would be quite a lot, and the LAN finals would be very few and far between. So it didn't really work. So 5v5 was always going to be the game mode. The number of players. But as soon as you have 5v5, the game mode that you can pick is always going to be quite limited by that choice. Yeah. The four major ones, the only ones really, were going to be either Obliteration, Conquest, Domination, or I'm sure that Diffuse. Diffuse is the one that DICE probably assumed was going to become the competitive game mode. I mean, it didn't because we don't need Diffuse. But anyway, the community pretty much chose Domination because at the end of the day, Battlefield as it is now is a retrofitted esport. Right. If DICE believe that this game is made for esports, they're wrong. It can be, and it's not far off it. But the problem is the game modes cannot really carry it that far. Yeah. Domination is inherently pretty all over the place. The teams have got used to it now, but when it first came out, there was a massive uproar. Half of the teams that came over from BF3 were used to playing Conquest, but even then in Battlefield 3, the maps were so all over the place, and there were so many issues, and it wasn't great. Battlefield 4 Domination is picked because it's the only one that works. The maps are too big in Battlefield 4 to do any other game mode. And Obliteration had too many bugs, and Diffuse had too many bugs. Yeah. So it was always going to be Domination from the start.
Okay. And, which team do you think made the most of this change from BF3 to BF4? Which team really picked it up starting in BF4?
What do you mean, like, straight off the bat? I mean...
Who did it favor? I mean, who does Domination favor right now? Which team?
Domination favors the run-and-gun game style. It's not Conquest-friendly. It's very much a run-and-gun, get-the-kills kind of game mode. And for that reason, I'm always going to say teams like Fnatic and AAA did remarkably well because of that. I think that it suits their style down to the ground. But then you've seen teams like UMAV as well. I mean, they've had a recent roster change. I don't know how it's going to affect them. But really, their style was just run and gun. Like, get in their faces and get the kills. And Fnatic can play any way they want, but all of their players are like top-level FPS players, so they're never going to struggle.
Yeah.
Teams like Dignitas probably struggle a bit more. They're coming over as pretty much a solid Conquest team, so I think they've took a little longer. Same with MYM. And there are a few other teams, but I think those are the ones, the winners and losers in the domination arms race, really.
Okay, cool. And so, I mean, this is just to tie into a little bit. Who's your favorite team right now to watch? I mean, I don't want you to say Team Dignitas. If it is Team Dignitas, say it. But
well, it's not, because the thing about, if I watch Dignitas, my heart's in my throat all the time. I don't like watching my own teams play because I'm so worried about everything. Like, I can't even watch like Newcastle play games. Like, I just like eyes closed all the time. If I had to pick a team that I would like to watch, it's a difficult one. I'm not even going to say Fnatic because I kind of get bored by watching Fnatic because there's never any risk at all. It's pretty just a straight up game. I find them pretty boring. I think I'll go with like Meteor Makers and Planet Key Dynamics. I enjoy watching their games. I think they're a lot more even sometimes. Meteor Makers go up and down sometimes. Yeah. And if there's like an underdog team, maybe like #3 who just joined Infused today, actually.
Yeah, I saw that
they're UK guys. I know them quite well, so I'm always hoping them to do well. But because me and Chad, especially, we cast a lot of the smaller teams in the early stages of cups. A lot of the teams that start to do really well that you wouldn't expect. That's why I like Icybox and Dynamics, because they've really surprised a lot of the bigger name teams.
Okay. Well, so let's move on. Let's talk about a little what you're doing right now in Team Dignitas. You're in the management of Team Dignitas. What does that mean? I mean, exactly.
Well, we're kind of a little family anyway. A lot of our management, and probably few teams can get to say it, most of our management are all ex-players at some point. We've got Zacubus, who's like ex-2000, Painkiller, UT player. Then we've got like Odie, obviously, who's a Battlefield and Quake player. Newman, Battlefield player. Spades, Battlefield player. You name it, we've just got loads of people. And then we've got a few people we've met, and we just get on. So we're a very close-knit group. But really, for me, like it happened about 2-3 years ago. I'd been a player. I didn't really know what else to do. But because I'd been around in the business and I knew enough people through what I was doing, to do the sales stuff, to do like the marketing, the whole kind of stuff that just happens when you're around esports for 8 years, like I have, it becomes second nature. How to promote your team to sponsors, how to just talk about it and just get people interested in it. It's something I did very early on, and from that, event work, booth work, looking after players, and from that it became my job. And because, I mean, I was very all over the place at one point, but Odie asked me what I wanted to do, and I wanted to work for Dignitas, so he gave me the opportunity, and I'll always be very thankful for that. But really what I do is, recently I've started to headhunt for teams, which is a bit weird. World of Tanks, Battlefield, just a few others now, just like looking, see if I can pick up other teams. Event work and planning, video content, streaming, hosting streams, do a bit of casting. That's something I only just started doing recently, really.
So I want to touch on this as well, because the other thing you were talking about is that, I mean, you say as yourself, a under construction BF4 caster. This is from your Twitter. So where are you casting right now, and how are you constructing yourself to be a better caster?
I'm always going to be modest, because a lot of the friends I keep, or a lot of people I know, have got into very lofty positions through their casting, and I would never ever want to say I'm even on their level. So I don't want to even put myself in their league at this point. A lot of the people I look up to are people like Demon, for example, used to do Battlefield back when I was playing. So he's like a really, really top level caster, and even for a game I don't like watching, which is League of Legends, I can listen to him and maybe Chat and a few others, and they're just so good. And I just wanted to just have a go at casting. I knew I wasn't going to be able to play Battlefield 4 competitively. I'm all over the place sometimes, either traveling or doing events or other work, so I can't put in the time I would want. So I was just like, okay, but I know a lot of the players and organizations, and I know kind of Battlefield has not really changed strategy-wise that much. It has a little, but not really. It's all about rotation, spawns, and teamwork. So I knew how to do that, and more importantly, I put a little effort in to learn. I was never going to be play-by-play. I can never talk that much. Yeah. I did try during that two-day cup, the Alienware. That was painful and an eye-opening experience. It's pretty much like being dropped into the fire there. But I came out of it feeling a little bit more confident. And I thought, yeah, I could do this, but I'm always going to end up being color. I mean, I could do play-by-play, but I'm always going to be the guy explaining why things are happening, or at least try to. So that's why I put under construction, because I'll never be, well, I want to be, but I'll never be on the level of the people who I look up to, I think.
Okay, and who are some casters right now, you would say, in Battlefield that are doing a good job?
Well, Chadman's brilliant, but I must admit, I really think people don't really give as much credit to Jason and Pansy as they should. Okay. Both of these people are coming in from very different backgrounds in gaming. Pansy pretty much from Call of Duty. She used to go through all the UK scenes that I used to go through, and really, really made a mark. And then you got Jason, who comes in from League of Legends. And I've cast with both of them, and I actually really enjoyed the experience. They were very professional, really good, and asked the right questions about what's going on. I mean, at the end of the day, these people are learning the game, but they're still very, very good. But Chadman's been very, very important. Like, without him, I wouldn't be at all able to cast anything. He's very important.
All right. EMS1 is coming up in Cologne at the ESL TV studio. Who are your favorites to win this event? Do you think there will be any surprises? I mean, we already have surprises with the team list that's going to be there, at least in my mind. I don't know, maybe you predicted that, but I think a few names that stick out. Pyrogen, probably. Not many expected them to be there. Who else comes to mind? Who do you think is the favorite to win it, and who do you think can surprise us?
Well, this is going to be a difficult one. First of all, obviously Dignitas are going to win it, but let's say I say someone else other than Dignitas. The team that I am most worried about in general for everyone, and it's something I'm very critical of all Battlefield teams that do this, and it very, very recently came out with UMAV. Fnatic are a solid LAN team. Like, they play on LAN, they do really, really well. These guys are dangerous. They have so much experience. They are the top team, and they should be the top seed coming into this. I expect Fnatic to probably win the EMS one, but if they don't, I wouldn't be surprised either. The game is so back and forth right now. I'm not even sure who it favors, but just off experience alone, I'll give the edge to Fnatic. But if there's going to be an upset, the teams to look out for are going to be like UMAV and Meet Your Makers. I think Epsilon are going to crash out quite hard. Really? I'm not too sure. Yeah, because I think Epsilon have done very well online, but they have never done well on LAN. Okay. And they use players like Mayak in their group stages and their EMS matches, which is stupid because they need to have a core 5-man lineup, but as practice as much as possible going ahead of a LAN where they're going to go up against a team which has been playing the same lineup for coming on 2 to 3 years. You can't just come in with a team of people who do well online and expect that you can switch players in and out. Right. UMAV dropped out Sneaky and Delarco, and now they picked up Enox and Drunks from AAA. They're all, Enox and Drunks, especially Drunks, very, very solid LAN players. And that's where they might have an edge. But Meet Your Maker's a solid team as well. So I honestly think it's pretty up in the air. But I'm looking at both Meet Your Makers, UMAV, and Fnatic. And obviously Dignitas will beat all of them. But if I had to choose someone else other than them, they're the teams to look out for right now. I'm not surprised that Pyrogen won, by the way. Okay. Pyrogen have had a nasty habit against AAA to take maps off them. And if there was a team that was going to beat AAA, it was probably going to be a French team in the groups, especially in that one that they had. I didn't pick them. I didn't say ahead of time, guys, Pyrogen are going to walk this. I didn't say that at all. But I think they were really underestimated.
What about Planet Key Dynamics beating Epsilon in the winner bracket of Group D? I mean,
yeah, Planet Key Dynamics is a team I've watched for a long, long time. Like me and Chad, we casted NorthCon, which is one of the craziest experiences of my life casting from home, because we only got like 2 hours sleep each day. So yeah, that was a long cast. But they were always a solid team, and only in the last 3 weeks have they really started to show how dangerous they are, winning, I think it's 2 Go-4s in a row, and really coming in quite strong. I predicted ahead of time that Group D was going to be the group of death, but both of the teams that went through are the teams I expected. I never expected GC to be able to beat Dynamics or Epsilon. But really, I wasn't surprised at all that Dynamics were able to do that to Epsilon. I think Epsilon are looking a little bit shaky right now. And, I mean, they've just dropped out Jareth. And, yeah, I mean, they have some really solid players. And I like Epsilon. And they might think I'm having a go at them. But subbing in a player like Mayak every time you're having a hard game is, especially when he won't be able to play in the actual LAN final, is just a bit weak, really. I think you should always give the chance to the people who are actually going to play in the final.
Okay, I mean, I agree all the way. So closing this interview out a little bit, I want to talk about your future. I mean, esports for life, or do you see yourself moving on maybe one day?
I honestly can never imagine doing anything else over in esports now. I've done it for so long, and it's the only time I really get excited about it. Like anything else, I couldn't get as excited about as I get over, like, you know, playing for Dignitas. At one point, I've played multiple games for Dig, never just Battlefield. But I would love to be a player again, but it won't happen. I've never got the time. I imagine I'll probably be in esports until I'm a withered old man.
Okay. And what do you see yourself doing in esports? I mean, management, you know, talking to players, obviously what you're good at from your experience.
It's a difficult one. The thing about esports in general is our industry moves quicker than probably any other industry I could imagine. Like a few months in esports is like years in other industries, and I honestly wouldn't be able to say. I mean, I would love the opportunity to run like a team, an organization, but at the same time, I'm so happy working for under people like Odie. It's just he's probably one of the best managers in esports right now. And what he's managed to do with quite humble beginnings and not much money is remarkable. And more importantly, he's my friend, and I really look up to him. So I would rather like to work under him for as long as I can. But God knows, who knows in esports? Everything's so up in the air. I mean, with the amount of money that's coming in some games like League of Legends and Dota and all that, the fact that we're selling out Staples centers and all this, and with the power of Twitch and so on, we're able to do things we never expected.
Fourth biggest website traffic in the world, or in the United States?
Yeah, Twitch. Fourth. It's insane.
Yeah.
And honestly, if you told me this 5 years ago when I was playing, I'd be like, nah, not going to happen for a long time. I'm a very, very cynical person when it comes to stuff like this. The fact that we're even at this level now is mind-blowing. And I don't think people quite know how rough the road has been to get to where we are now. A lot of people coming in the last 2 years don't know that there have been dark ages. They don't know that organizations sometimes are balancing on knife edges. They don't know these things. They just assume that there's money there, and you're always educating the new generation. I spend a lot of my time doing that.
That's probably a positive thing. I mean, that goes to show how much we've grown. I mean, if we have new people coming into esports and they don't even know that, you know, LAN events were held in, you know, whatever underground hotel basements, then.
Oh, they still are. So not much has changed there. But yeah, seriously, it scares me when I realise it's like my 8th year in Dignitas and in esports, and watching it to where it is now. It's quite remarkable. But we're always going to have fresh blood. We're always going to have new people because it's an exciting industry to be in. This ain't boring. This ain't an office job. This is esports where you can do pretty much whatever your dreams are in some way. You can play in front of thousands of people who are just watching a video game and be just as passionate as if they were watching football or any other major sport.
Yeah. All right. Well, you know what? Thanks so much for agreeing to do this show and donating your time. This is time for you. Anyone you want to thank? You know.
Well, considering I've got a bit of a retrospect going on in a way, I'd like to thank people like Jerky, Odie especially more than anyone, Noobster, pretty much everyone in Dignitas, and a lot of the people in Level BF. Chadman, massive shout out to him, helped me a lot. Pansy and Jason, and yeah, and yourself for putting this on. Obviously, I'd like to thank Dignitas sponsors. We've got Be Quiet, Intel, HyperX, QPad, Alienware Scan, and many others, and hopefully more to come. Yama, obviously, I don't want to forget them, and WD and Creative. So yeah, no, it's been great. I quite enjoyed talking about myself. I should do it more often.
Okay. Well, guys, this has been the third episode of Point of View. Our guest was James, MrDogbert Given. James, thanks so much for being on the show again.
No, thank you for having me. It's been
Cheers.
brilliant.